Hi, I'm Dan Smith, and I'm going to teach you how to play Stand By Me. Now, this song has been done by a lot of people, a lot of different ways, and a lot of different keys. I'm going to show it to you in what I consider to be the easiest key to get started with. This is an excellent song if you're just getting started and you want a song that everybody can sing along with. And it's also, as many of my videos give you the opportunity to do, it's an opportunity to learn how to sing and play at the same time. And I have a very practical tool for you to get started. If you feel like that is just totally overwhelming to you and you can't even begin to imagine singing and playing at the same time, I'm going to show you how it's totally possible, and I'm going to give you a very practical tool to do it. So let's go through the chords first. Again, this is for people who maybe have never played guitar before, so these are going to be some pretty basic chords that I'm going to break down one string, one finger, and one fret at a time, and by the time you're done, you're going to have some very solid building blocks to go forward with. So I'm going to play it through once, maybe a couple times, just to kind of give you a sense of what we're going for, and then we're going to break it down piece by piece. So it goes like this. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see, well, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid, just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Stand by me, just as long as you stand by me. So it's the same four chords all the way through for the verse and the chorus. But the very first chord is a G. Now for G, you're going to play all 6 strings, and you're going to start with your index finger on the 5th string of the 2nd fret, your second finger on the 6th string of the 3rd fret, and your ring finger on the 1st string, also on the 3rd fret. There are many ways to play G. This is probably the easiest way to get started. And you're going to do what's called a bass note and down strum. That means you're going to play the bass note, which is the 6th string in this case, and strum. And you're just going to start very simply. You're just going to do that twice. Bass note and down strum 2 times. That's all you got to do. Then you're going to go to the next chord, which is E minor. E minor is going to be your first finger actually right where you already had it on the 5th string of the 2nd fret. So if you can manage to keep it there, then that's one less thing you have to do. So your index finger, 5th string, 2nd fret. Your middle finger goes on the 4th string on the same fret, the 2nd fret, right underneath your first finger. And you can play the 6th string again for your bass note. 6th string, down strum. You're going to do that 2 times. Then see if you can keep your 2nd finger down, because you're going to need that to stay in exactly the right spot for the next chord, which is a C chord. So that's going to start with your ring finger on the 5th string of the 3rd fret. Your 2nd finger is on the 4th string of the 2nd fret, and your index finger is on the 2nd string of the 1st fret. And you're going to play the 5th string for your bass note and a down strum, and you're just going to do that 1 time. And then you go to the last chord, which is a D. D is going to be your index finger on the 3rd string of the 2nd fret. Your 2nd finger on the 1st string of the 2nd fret, and then your ring finger on the 2nd string of the 3rd fret. And for D, you play the 4th string, meaning the D string, and you play the bottom 4 strings, just 1 time. Then you go back to G, and you play that 2 times. So G, after you do G 2 times at the end there, that's actually where the chord progression ends. So it begins with 2 Gs, but it also ends with 2 Gs. So let's talk about the chord progression, just to kind of like break it all down, everything I just did, right? So it's 2 Gs, 2 E minors, 1 C, 1 D, and then 2 Gs again, but then you stay there to start over. When the night has come, just like that, and then it just keeps on going like that, never changes. 1 C, 1 D, and then 2 Gs. Now, that's the very simple version strum-wise, right? But if you want to kind of, dress it up a little bit and do a little bit more strumming-wise, you're still going to start with your bass notes. Because bass notes, by the way, you probably heard me say this in other videos, bass notes are the unsung heroes of playing guitar. Get to know your bass notes. If you're having trouble with your rhythm, if you're having trouble with your strumming, if you're having trouble with your guitar playing in general, I can almost guarantee you it's because you don't pay enough attention to your bass notes. So use your bass notes. They will anchor you. They'll anchor you to the beat. They'll anchor you to the tone of your chord. But anyway, to get back to the point about strumming, we're going to do a little bit more strumming-wise here. So instead of just bass note and down strum, which is nothing to be ashamed of, by the way, but if you want to do a little more, you can do bass note, down, up, down, up, down, up. Down, up, down, up, down, up. You will notice I'm doing it slowly, which is what you should do too. Don't go too fast. Take your time. You got to go slow first in order to go fast. So anyway, bass note, down, up, down, up, down, up. Bass note, down, up, down, up, down, up. Notice anything else? Notice how small my strum is, right? I keep it right inside these circles. I'm not strumming from my elbow. You know why? Because I don't have any control that way. I've got all kinds of control. If I keep my strum nice and small, it's going to be easier to strum faster later, like this. But that's, takes some getting used to. That's a whole physicality that if you're just getting started playing guitar, you probably are not going to have an easy time doing that. Everybody feels, a little Frankenstein-y when they first start playing guitar. Anyway, same kind of thing for E minor. Down, up, down, up, down, up. That's 3 down ups, right? And then C, same thing. Now, you might have just noticed something. What did I just do there? I did something called an open string transitional strum, or at least that's what I call it, right? What do I mean by that? When I went from D back to G, for example, my last up strum was open strings, like that. Listen again. And then the next thing I do after that is my bass notes. So that gives me time to get my fingers in place, right? It's okay. In fact, you need to do an open string transitional strum. It's very powerful because what it does is it allows you to kind of get a flow happening with your playing. When you first start playing guitar, I've seen it hundreds, thousands of times, where people feel like they have to stop strumming in between each chord, right, and break the flow of the song, switch chords, and then start strumming again. That's not what works. You're never gonna get there that way. You gotta give yourself permission to do an open string transitional strum. Like this. Right? Open string transitional strum on the up strum, and then a bass note was where you land, right? Same thing for all these chords. Open string transitional strum, bass note. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Whoops, I didn't do it that time. Now, if you start out slow, it's going to feel a little clunky, it's going to feel a little messy, but once you get it up to tempo, meaning a little faster, it'll become more than the sum of its parts, right? And you won't even notice those open string transitional strums. See, you didn't even notice it, but I did it. I'm kind of emphasizing it to kind of show it to you there, but however, we're going to do one more level of strumming, which is the kind of what I call the phantom strum, right? So you're going to take that down, up, down, up, down, up strum, but you're going to skip a couple of them, like this. phantom strum, meaning I still do the movement of the strum, but I just don't let my pick hit the strings. Right, so I'm still doing the down, up, and you can kind of play with that. You can get a little creative. You could do all kinds of variations. Have some fun with it. So anyway, that's a phantom strum. But now, let's talk about singing. Very simple lyrics to this song. The first line is, when the night has come, right? So how does that work? You're going to find the word or the syllable of the word that you match up with either your bass note or your strum. Now for this, you want to go back to just doing a bass note and down strum. Bring it back to basics. Don't try to get fancy, and don't go too fast, because you're just going to drive off the road. Go slowly first so you can go fast later. But to get back to the point, which is when the night, right? When the night has come. So on night and the word come, right? When the night has come. Just start there. Don't try to do the whole thing in one bite. Just get that first line. Get a feel for what it's like to sing and play at the same time. And then you go to E minor and the land. And on the word land, you got to land on a strum that time. You don't do it on the bass note, right? And the land is dark. And then the word dark, you put on the second bass note for E minor. So you get the idea with this, right? You have to kind of puzzle piece it together. Now, eventually, you're not going to have to do that, right? Because you're going to eventually just try to relax and breathe with it, and kind of like you'll get a feel for the whole song. But this is a great way to get your foot in the door, especially if you feel a little overwhelmed by the whole idea of singing and playing. But you can do it with any song. You just have to be willing to break it into little bite-sized pieces. And before you know it, you'll be singing and playing. But take your time with it. Be patient. Be kind to yourself. I can't tell you how many times I've seen my students just kind of back themselves into a corner because they're just being impatient with themselves. You know, I'm going to do a whole video, I think, about the importance of patience. But here's a little preview. Be patient. Because I'll tell you one thing I'm going to talk about in the video about patience, which is that people get impatient and they don't even know they're getting impatient. That's the really, I would say, detrimental aspect of patience, is people are doing it and they don't even know. So the first step is just to become aware of where you're getting impatient. So that's a little preview. But Stand By Me is a fantastic song to learn because it's like 9 million other songs. If you learn these 4 chords, G, C, D, and E minor, you can do, I'm sure, I'm not breaking any news here, but there's like hundreds, if not thousands of songs that use these same 4 chords, not necessarily in the same order, although a couple of them are in the same order that I can think of. So these are just really good building blocks. So that's Stand By Me. Hope that helps, and I'll see you next time.